Welcome back to the Wednesday Word of the Week. And the Word of the Week this week is two words. It's temple and temple. So let's go ahead and start with temple. And the word for temple here is hieron. Hieron means temple, and it comes from hieros. And a hieros is a sacred thing. It's an adjective. And then the neuter form of it is a noun, hieron, that we call temple, and by that we mean a sacred place, a place that's set apart for holy use, and it is the entire temple complex. So when we read in the Gospels of Jesus and his disciples going up to the temple, and Jesus turning over tables and all that sort of thing, where the money changers are in one of the outer porches or porticos, the entire temple complex is the hieron. And it's in the New Testament, hieron is never ever used metaphorically. Every time that it's used, it's talking about the literal physical complex on the Temple Mount that includes the sanctuary in the middle and all of the ancillary structures and the court of the women and the court of the Gentiles and the places where the money was being changed and the places where you could go with your now changed money to the temple shekel and buy your sacrificial animal and bring it to the priest for the rite. The entirety of that economy that was taking place is called the hieron, the temple, which brings us to the second word for temple, which is naos. Naos is the sanctuary, the shrine, the holy place, a place of dwelling for a deity. So in pre-New Testament terms, in Greek culture, the naos is the place where the idol would rest. If you go to the Temple of Diana or Temple of Artemis or any of these places, the sort of cove where the idol, where the statue is placed, is the naos within the hieron. Okay? Even in a Greek home, people would have a little chapel. Even poor people would tend to have a little chapel. And even if it was just a tiny little miniature, there would be a naos, a dedicated place where the form of the deity would reside. That brings us to the temple in Jerusalem. Pardon me. That within the naos, within the hieron, there is a naos. There is the holy place where the work of the priests happens, where the sacrifices are done, where the blood is sprinkled, where once a year the high priest goes into the Holy of Holies in the innermost part of the naos where the Ark of the Covenant is, and ministers for the forgiveness of the people. Now the big difference is the hieron is never used metaphorically. The naos in the New Testament is frequently used metaphorically. One of the great examples of this is John. In John's Gospel, Jesus declares while teaching in the hieron, while he's in the temple complex, not in the innermost part, of course, because that's only where the high priest goes, not even in the inner part where the priests do their ministry, but in the complex out where people gather to hear speakers and so forth. Jesus is teaching in the hieron, and he declares, destroy this temple, this naos, and in 3 days I will raise it up again. So he uses both words, or both words apply because he's preaching in the hieron, but refers to himself as the naos. And in a sense, right, the incarnation, John writes the most about the incarnation. God became flesh and walked among us, made his dwelling in our midst, right? He says of himself that he's the naos, the dwelling place of the deity. So all the temple imagery in Revelation is speaking of naos, not hieron. And these two words that both get translated temple have fairly significant differences in the meaning. And if you're game, get out your concordance, your interlinear, your searchable Greek New Testament, and take a look at the different occurrences of temple and temple. Is it the hieron or is it the naos? And you'll see the differences are stark. It's amazing how two words that get translated as one have such very different meanings. Thanks for being with us today on the Wednesday Word of the Week, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Please hit share, subscribe, like, all that good YouTube-y stuff, and Charis Kai Orene Humene, grace and peace to you.